Black Adam is performing fairly well at the box office, but it's earning a lot less than other DCU movies, proving one of the biggest problems with the old DC movie plan. While the DCU always struggled to see the same box office highs as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it still had a number of big hits, although the strategy of the previous administration would have seen the box office continue to drop. Judged on its own, Black Adam's box office is fine, but it is a bit underwhelming as the only DCU movie in 2022, since The Batman is in its own continuity, especially after all Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's promises about the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. If the DCU had been releasing big movies featuring big DC characters including team-ups and crossovers every year, Black Adam's origin movie wouldn't have so much riding on it, but poor franchise planning set Black Adam up to fail. The DCEU didn't have a plan after 2017. The original DCEU plan put together by Zack Snyder, Jim Lee, and Jeff Johns included a 5-part story directed by Zack Snyder about Superman and the Justice League, with a number of other spin-offs and solo movies filling in the gaps. After Zack Snyder was replaced by Joss Whedon partway through Justice League's production, that plan was abandoned entirely, and no alternatives were offered for 5 years. Instead of a cohesive DC movie plan, Warner Bros. Released a patchwork of DC movies loosely connected by Easter eggs, but nothing built towards a larger universal plot tying everything together. Every former DC Films president, first Jeff Johns, John Berg, then Walter Hamada, claimed they were working on a plan, but most of the movies the studio produced were just versions of movies that had already been greenlit in the Snyderverse era. After it was decided WBD was going to move on from Walter Hamada, it was reported that his plan was supposed to lead towards a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, but having been president of DC Films for 4 years, the plan should have included a lot more than maybe Crisis on Infinite Earths, eventually. Black Adam became one of the most important DCU movies, but shouldn't have been, as one of the few movies on the DC film slate, and one of the most powerful DC characters to see the screen in a while. Black Adam had far more riding on it than it should have. Black Adam isn't a well-known character to mainstream moviegoers, and even with The Rock in the role, his box office history shows he's not actually a very big financial pull. A Black Adam movie could certainly become a major box office draw for the DCU, particularly if he faces off against Henry Cavill's Superman, but it's not fair to expect his debut solo movie to gross more than $500 million, particularly since the DC movie brand isn't going to give it much additional boost like the Marvel brand does for more obscure MCU characters. Black Adam's box office haul is the biggest seen by a DCEU movie since Aquaman, the franchise's only movie to pass $1 billion, but with movies like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman seeing way outsized box office performances comparatively, with each opening well north of $100 million, as much as $166 million for Batman v Superman. It becomes clear how much things have changed for franchises, biggest movie being so much smaller. With a properly stocked DC movie schedule featuring more frequent solo movies for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and other big characters, Black Adam would be seen as more of a side character. Without that plan, Black Adam becomes responsible for building out the whole DC universe, not just his corner in Kondak. This is part of why Johnson fought so hard to get Superman included in the movie. Without Black Adam being the movie to bring Henry Cavill back to the Superman role, its relevance and impact to the rest of the universe is diminished. Black Adam is too big and the old DCEU plan was too small. If Black Adam were a slightly smaller movie with a lower budget, its box office haul would be seen as a smash hit. At the same time, if the DCEU were bigger and more developed and Black Adam's arrival had more weight on the existing franchise, then it would have also performed better. Unfortunately, neither of those things are the case, but it's not The Rock or Black Adam's fault. Back when Black Adam was originally greenlit, there was a much bigger plan for DC movies. It's not clear if or how Black Adam fit into the original Snyderverse plan, but if that plan had been maintained, Black Adam would have been joining a universe with a fully established Justice League and a slew of supervillains. While The Rock pushed Black Adam's production forward, the rest of that original plan was abandoned, so by the time The Rock arrives, it's not really clear what's going on in the rest of the DC movie universe, making Black Adam's post-credits scene bringing back Cavill's Superman the biggest plot development in the DCU since Justice League. Ironically, there were multiple other attempts to bring back Cavill's Superman, but Walter Hamada had blocked the requests, perfectly demonstrating why there was no larger DC movie slate to boost Black Adam. The Rock talked a lot about how the hierarchy of power in the DC universe would change after Black Adam, and, ironically, he was right, but maybe not in the way he intended, since Peter Safran and James Gunn were hired as co-CEOs of the newly formed DC Studios. The two reportedly have a blueprint for the future of the DCU, which, if true, would finally provide a DC movie plan for the first time since Justice League. While Black Adam's box office won't stand out as one of the DCU's biggest performers, it'll be known for bearing the brunt of moving the universe forward and bringing back Superman in an era where the DC Films leadership couldn't get a plan together to save their job. And if James Gunn and Peter Safran can finally right the ship and finally get a new plan instituted for the DCU, then maybe a potential Black Adam sequel will be set up for better box office success. Key release dates: Shazam! The Fury of the Gods release date, the 17th of March 2023. The Flash movie release date, the 23rd of June 2023. Blue Beetle release date, the 18th of August 2023. Aquaman 2 release date, the 25th of December 2023.